I was born in Uganda, but my family is from South Sudan. And the reason I ended up being born in Uganda was because of the war that was going on. So when the war started, my dad left, and then he went to Kenya, and then from Kenya he came to the United States. But when my dad left, I was still like in the womb, so he didn't get to really be there for my birth. So, I mean, I got to talk to him on the phone, and like, he would send pictures, but that was all I just knew of, like. And at times I used to always like wonder, like, oh, do I have a dad? Because my dad was like here and he was by himself and he didn't have anybody, sometimes he couldn't send us money. So then that meant like, there were times we couldn't eat, and like if you don't pay the school fee, they just send you home. So then I was like sent home. And so I was just kind of like always feeling I'm like behind from my classmates. My dad then finally decided to start a process to bring us here. We were supposed to originally come in 2001, but then 9/11 happened. So then they were like, nope, it can't happen anymore, you guys can't come. So immigration like put everything on hold. And so then finally 2003, they were like, you guys can come to the United States now. And I was really like sad because I was like, oh, I want to go, but then at the same time I'm like, my grandparents and all my friends are here. So I was really like feeling sad because it was like, all I knew was Uganda, and that was like my comfort zone. So, and I didn't want to like leave that, but then I also wanted to be with my dad. And I was just like, okay, finally I get to meet my dad, and I was so excited. I didn't just have to like talk to him on the phone, I could finally like physically give him a hug. And so it was a great feeling. They took us to Burger King. So that was the first time I tried a burger. Didn't really like it at all. I remember I was like, this is disgusting. The fries wasn't so bad, so. And then from there we went home, but it was snowing that day, and so I was like so mesmerized by it because like we saw snow on TV, but it's different when you're like finally seeing it. So I remember I would like pick it up and put it in my mouth, and so I asked my dad, I was like, what is this like white stuff falling from the sky? And then he's like, oh, it's snow. So then we moved to New Brighton, and then my dad decided we're going to go to a private school. And I mean, which wasn't bad because that's all I knew back home. That's all me and my brother went to, was a private school. So I was like, oh, okay, well, back to wearing uniforms. But then it was weird because then when we got there, it was like everybody was white, and me and my brother were like the only two black kids. I just remembered like feeling like I didn't really belong because I'm like, nobody looks like me. And of course, I was super tall, so I was taller than even all the guys. So I was like, this is so weird. I think it was either 7th or 8th grade. Someone had asked me if I had AIDS because I came from Africa. I'm going to school for mass communication to be a TV reporter. And then I'm also doing an internship with the TV station and also working with the radio station here. When I first like would tell people at first like that I wanted to be a reporter, most people like, I guess, I don't know if it's because I don't have an accent, so they don't assume that I'm actually not born here. So everybody actually just thinks like, oh, you're just African American, but I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I see myself as like a South Sudanese girl that came from like a war-torn country, but I'm like trying to make something of myself so that kids that are like back home there, they can be like, wow, like even though you came from there, like our same country, you still like made something out of yourself. My goal is like one day to actually like open like a preschool back home one day for just kids, so they can actually, for families that can't afford it, but for them to still get a chance at an education. There's stories like mine and then other people's that I always hear. And I think that's what also like attracted to me to like wanting to become a reporter. It's because I generally feel like everybody has a story to tell. I want to like use where I came from to be able to connect with others that are similar to me or different from me, but to also be able to like have them feel like they can use their voice and their voice to be heard.